Creating life after death. That's exactly what one Perth woman's done, fighting the court system to have her 62-year-old husband's sperm removed posthumously. According to news articles, the pair had 2 children, but both died, and they had a surrogate in the Philippines waiting to carry their child. Fertility expert Tamara Hunter joins us to talk through this topic. Hello again, Tamara.
Hi, Mon.
Is post-mortem sperm retrieval legal here in Australia?
So the Human Tissue and Transplant Act states that we can extract sperm and or eggs, gametes, posthumously from an individual for transplantation or therapeutic, medical or scientific purposes if that person has consented, or if there's no obvious reason why they would object to it and there is a senior next of kin who has consented. However, we can't actually use those sperm or eggs in assisted reproduction in WA. It's illegal.
Right, we'll touch on that further. How common is this procedure?
Oh, extremely uncommon. This situation is very complicated and extremely uncommon.
And how long does sperm live post-mortem?
Well, the literature suggests that if you're going to collect sperm, it's best done within the first 24 hours after death. There is some evidence to suggest it can be anywhere up to 36 hours, but after that point in time, the chance of finding viable sperm diminishes rapidly.
We saw a similar case with a girlfriend of Olympic snowboarder Alex Chumpy Poulin welcoming his baby after his shock death. There can be success stories here if action is taken quickly, and I guess if people are the right age.
Yeah, look, I think it's a very complex situation, and I do think that the rights of all parties need to be taken into consideration. Obviously, the surviving partner as well as the deceased partner, but also the future life and well-being of a child in the future needs to be considered as well.
Should women have to go through this process? Should it be made easier, do you think?
Well, death is a difficult thing for anybody, a surviving partner, to deal with. And then thinking about future fertility desires in that moment of grief must be incredibly difficult. But I do think it's important for an objective third party to be part of that decision-making process and also act on the behalf of the deceased partner as well.
Let's go to viewer comments. Cheryl Lendrum writes, "Oh, come on, 62-year-old? Ridiculous and should not be permitted." Now, in this case, both the male and the female were in their 60s. How old is too old?
I'm not really familiar with this particular case, but there are medical and ethical considerations. We know that children born to men over the age of 50 have a higher likelihood of severe mental health illnesses such as schizophrenia and manic depression. We also know that children born to older men have a higher chance of autosomal dominant conditions such as dwarfism. Plus, there's also the ethical consideration of, being born into where your parents are much, much older, one is already deceased, and how is the support of that child going to continue into the future?
Michelle Zakako asks, why would you want to remove it if you don't want to use it?
I guess it's all part of that grief management process and the fact that perhaps the creation of hope in the future is part of helping that surviving partner deal with it, whether or not they use the sperm in the future or not.
Which partially leads to the next question from Jada Michelle, who wonders why let her collect it then?
Yeah, I do think it's part of helping that surviving partner deal with the death of a loved one.
Bryce softly says she can just go somewhere else and do it. Now, what are the restrictions around surrogacy in Australia, and where would Australians go for surrogacy?
Well, surrogacy is a state-by-state legislation. In Australia, it must be altruistic, meaning you can't pay a woman to carry a child. In WA, there's only a limited number of people that can access surrogacy, single women and heterosexual couples for medical reasons. There's a lengthy psychosocial evaluation, obviously legal arrangements that must be put in place, and it must be approved by the Reproductive Technology Council as well. We don't condone overseas surrogacy. Everyone would know of the Baby Gammy case because it's important to support the well-being of the surrogate, the commissioning parents and also the child.
Finally, from Teddy Riley, he writes, what next? I guess the question is, how far do you go here?
Yeah, look, Mon, it's a really difficult and complex situation. I can't speak to this exact situation, but it is important for us to make sure that we are doing things in the legal way. Obviously, we can legally collect this sperm, but here in Western Australia, at the moment, the law says we're unable to use it.
Also, in a very compassionate way as well. because
Yeah.
a traumatic time for parents.
Absolutely.
Dr. Tamara Hunter, it has been great having you with us again. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Simone.